Good afternoon and welcome to the memo discussion for the English Home Language Paper 1 that was written on the 28th of September in the year 2021, which means that was yesterday. Right, let's take a look at what we have. We have a paper which I regard as exceptional and creative and original and with one of the strangest but most entertaining texts ever on the fiddling around for doom and gloom on Facebook. And generally, I loved this paper. It is well thought out, it is fair, it is not murderous to the candidates. So let's get right down to it. I have also, I must just warn you in advance that I have been in communication with the examiner who set the paper, and I have been provided with some information about a potential error on the marking guidelines, herein referred to as the memo. So please stay tuned. You'll get all the details as we go along. Don't worry, it's not catastrophic. It's merely something that has to be brought to your attention. And it by no means lowers my opinion of this paper. I think the paper is outstanding. Right, let's get straight down to it then. We're going to start by looking at the comprehension. Now, it is my normal policy to read through the comprehension passage, but I know that by now you've done that. So in this case, it would be merely wasting time. We shall refer back to the passage should it be required for clarification on a question, but otherwise we'll just keep going and tackle the questions one by one until we get them finished. I'm also very conscious of the fact that there is going to be a time limit. I don't have as much time to do this review as I would have liked. So bear with me, and we will, or we shall, make sure that we go through the entire paper. No, we will, that's emphatic. All right. And we will resolve any questions to the best of our ability. Good. Here we go. This is, as you can see, a provincial paper, as opposed to a national one. And provincial papers are more fun because I think the examiners are less constrained by all the rules and regulations, and we can be more creative. Right, let's take a look here. 12 pages, instructions and information. We'll skip over that. Don't have time to look at that, although I really would love to. Okay, and here we have the doom scrolling, which is the most unusual text I've ever read, and very true. It's appealed to me greatly. Okay, but we're going to scroll past that if you don't mind. There we have our glossary, apocalyptic. Okay, that's a lovely term. Good. And here we are going to look at this in a bit of detail because, let me just decrease the size slightly so that the whole thing goes on the screen. Take that up. Okay, I think that's good enough. Essentially, what you have is a cell phone in flames. And of course, there's a loudhailer or megaphone, whatever you want to call it, shouting from the cell phone, something that is obviously doom and gloom. You have a non-smiley text box, or speech box, whatever you want to call it, or speech balloon, right? And you've got various statistics apparently over here, and you've got a thumbs down, and etc., etc. Good. Let's go straight on to our questions. And we have here, in the first question, refer to paragraph 1. All right, and because it is refer to paragraph 1, the answer cannot come from any other place except paragraph 1. Because here, when talking about this time travel, it's being done in a specific context. So you cannot accept an answer which is outside of that context. It can't just be an explanation of the Jules Verne science fiction version of time travel, or the various other ones come up by the authors throughout the years. This one is specific to the context in which it's quoted, and for this we might have to go to paragraph 1. What does it say here? This year I have learned the secret of time travel. It goes like this. I open my eyes first thing, reach for the phone, etc., etc., and suddenly she finds it's 5 o'clock, and it's as if she's jumped through time to 5 o'clock with nothing going on in between. So please remember, this is very specific. Let us then also take a look at the memo answer for that one. Here you'll see our memorandum. Right, and it says here, time travel literally to refer to how quickly time passes when a person is scouring the news and social media for the latest bad news. Now, do you notice that is very specific to the context in which it is used in the first paragraph? Please be careful when you are marking that you do not give away marks for an irrelevant answer. Remember that it must refer to paragraph 1. Okay, of course there's the normal 2 marks for well-developed points, valid alternative responses. Okay, then let us go back to our question paper, and I shall non-doomscroll. I've just created neologism. Non-doomscroll. In other words, scrolling which does not involve doom and gloom. Aren't I clever? Wow. Okay. 1.2, I've got 1.1.2, I should say. Right, I've got this indicated as please comment on this one. So let me do that. First, we get this quote also from paragraph 1. And then I emerge blinking from the darkened cell of the internet. Okay, that's the quote. And the question, what point is the writer making in this sentence? And, well, we'll go up to paragraph 1 and we shall put it in its context. There we are, and I'm thinking. Right, I emerge from the darkened cell of the internet and it is 1700 and I'm thinking, where did the day go? Basically just saying that it was a lost day and that time simply shot by unproductively. So it sort of switched on at wake up, and the time, switched off at wake up and switched on again at 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay. The comment that I have here is that to obtain 2 marks, candidates do not have to refer to the literal and figurative meanings. It can be one or the other. All right, so please note that. Don't be too much of a stickler for the details that you have to go both literal and figurative. It can be either. Okay, that's very specific. Let me then go back to the question and then let's take a look at the memo answer. Okay, here is our memo answer. Right, and you can see doom scrolling becomes like a prison cell from which one cannot escape on a literal level. Now, please note that. you've got the figurative in the first sentence. That by itself is a correct answer. It doesn't have to be both the figurative answer and the literal answer. Both of those have plenty of content to allow for 2 marks. All right, so if it's only a literal answer or only a figurative answer, that's fine. Okay, there is the memo answer. Let's just read through it. In the same way a person cannot escape once time traveling has been set in motion, the doom scrolling becomes like a prison cell from which one cannot escape. Nice simile there. On a literal level, the work darkened implies that time has passed quickly. Yes, like as a dream in the night. Figuratively, it implies that her mood becomes somber after she has absorbed all the bad news. Okay, so just bear in mind, figurative or literal or both, all fine. Right, let's move on, and we'll go back to our question. And here, question, let me just move that slightly. 1.2, it says refer to paragraph 3. List 2 reasons why people experience a compulsion to doom scroll, according to the writer. Now, this, I tell you, is one of the kindest things that I've ever seen done in an English home language paper. The use of the word list. That is the easiest instruction ever, and my prediction is that the average mark for this question is going to be 2 out of 2. That's very nice. I have seen multiple English papers where there is not a single level 1 question anywhere in the paper, which is a little bit hard on the poor candidates. And that's another reason why I think this paper is so darn brilliant. It's fair. It's really fair. Okay, so list 2 reasons why people experience a compulsion to doom scroll. Okay, so we're going to go to paragraph 3, and we'll look at it first from the perspective of the candidates. It first makes the statement there's a compulsiveness to doom scrolling. Okay, and then we're going to find our reasons for this. We are looking for something even though we are not sure exactly what it is. Reassurance, truth, validation, answers, a vaccine. I like somebody's sense of humor. Some of us are perhaps in fight or flight mode, and the constant scrolling is a kind of hypervigilance. Certainly many of us are in an anxiety spiral. So, reasons for compulsive doom scrolling. It's a search for the unknown. All right, or you can also question, is it perhaps a search for reassurance or facts? I must be careful not to quote directly from the text. For encouragement, for facts, for approval, for responses, or perhaps some sort of inoculation. There we are. I've used my own words all the way through. All right. Some of us are perhaps in a fight or flight mode, on the alert. Fight or flight means very much on the alert. You're either going to fight or get out of the area at a moment's notice. And of course, this constant scrolling is being on the lookout for stuff. Okay, we've got plenty of explanations there in different words. And then we have also here this anxiety spiral, constant stress, input stress. Okay, let's take a look at our memo answer again. Right, there we are. People scroll because they're looking for something, even though they are not sure what they are looking for. They also scroll because they are anxious and want to be prepared to fight or flee from the enemy. Okay, excellent answer. You can add a few aspects to that, I think, but this answer is very much a summary of that paragraph, which is very well done. Okay, I'm not going to comment further on that one. Let's go back to 1.3. Okay, 1.3, very simply, comment on the style used in paragraph 4. Now, we're going to look at paragraph 4 and we're going to look at the style, etc. But then we're going to look at the memo and we'll have to do some changes. Okay, so paragraph 4, style. Right. Julia Bell writes in her essay, Radical Attention, over time, trained by the software, the user oscillates between anxiety and the alleviation of that anxiety over and over. Okay, so for a start, you've got a lovely contrast there, anxiety versus alleviation, right, over and over. So a little bit of repetition just to reinforce what's saying, and bouncing between those two positions makes it impossible to think. The image of something going doing, doing, doing. Okay, so lovely, 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 lovely figurative languages. We are imprisoned by reactive, primitive brain activity. Lovely metaphor there. Okay, beautiful use of diction. Right, also anxiety, self-defense, pleasure, rage, fear. Right, all the negatives. Our executive functions become permanently fritzed. A lovely onomatopoeia word. You can just see the executive functions with the computer going and the flash and the smoke coming out of it, and it's been fritzed. Okay, smombies. There's your lovely portmanteau word, the combination of two words. Okay, just scrolling through pages of information, waiting for a reaction. Right, lots of elements of style there. Beautiful style, enthralling. Right, so we've already got what could be potential answers. Now we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Sorry, I should always quote it that way. We're going to go now to the memo. And you see the problem. The memo, instead of referring to paragraph 4, the memo refers straight to paragraph 5. Well, we must be fair. By now, I think already the corrections have been sent out. So we hope that we can get the corrections to you. The initial impulse decision was, of course, if there's an error of this type, we give the marks for free. But I think certainly before the end of today, you're going to get the corrected answer. So don't panic. I'll read the corrected answer to you as it appears the way I received it. You've got, okay, for paragraph 4, we have to credit the following. And it says the contrasts that are created between negative and positive emotions, anxiety, rage, fear versus alleviation of anxiety and pleasure. Right, number 2. The personal pronoun we makes the reader feel involved. 3. The metaphor of being imprisoned. Excellent metaphor. The portmanteau, that's the joining together of the words, phone and zombie or whatever it was. And then the informal language. Okay, that's fritzed and smombi. Okay. Right. Those are the answers. I assure you all who are watching that you will have it in writing. Either you already have it or you will have it in the very near future in writing for you to inspect personally. So we won't go into too much detail about this now. I'm very pleased that this was picked up and corrected, so it doesn't in any way detract from the beauty and brilliance of this paper. One of my all-time favorites. Let me just see if there's any other. yes, I must. There are some other things to which we shall refer a bit later. Right. Good. Let's keep going. Let's go back to our questions. And go back to 1.4. We were going on to 1.4. Right, refer to paragraph 6. Explain why doom scrolling can put a strain on your mental health. This is, just by the way, this reminds me so much of the hard lockdown of last year when, slightly off the topic, but it somehow links nicely for me. For about a month, I was receiving at least 2 messages a minute throughout every day. And I know of people who were receiving far more than that. So it's not just doom scrolling can put a strain on your mental health. It's constantly having your phone calling you and saying, help, 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 come, need your attention. Okay, right. Paragraph 6, why a strain on your mental health? Let's take a look at this. We'll go up to paragraph 6. In times of uncertainty, it's normal to want answers. That's true. Millions of us are doom scrolling in isolation, robbed of the collective sense-making on which we usually rely. Okay, so it's isolation as opposed to normally working together with other people. Right? Conspiracies, theories flourish. Boy, they're not kidding. Experts warn of the strain that doom scrolling can put on mental health. Okay, yes, it causes panic. There are certain articles that I always see on on Facebook and stuff where the people are going, no, it's hopeless. The pandemic's gone so far, we'll never go back to normal life and stuff like that. And I look at that and I reckon you are a horrible author to have written something like that. Grow up, come right. This is not forever. This is not the new normal. It's temporary insanity. And the whole problem with stuff like that, though, it tends to depress people. So the strain on mental health, depression. We flick over and over between apps that claim to help us live in the moment and the latest headlines. All right, so yep, depression, confusion, everything like that, strain on mental health. Let us take a look at our memo answer. There we are, 1.4 people are normally alone, yeah, when they use internet or social media to keep track of the news. They become isolated and they are vulnerable to convincing conspiracy theories. Yes, I would add to that the possibility of depression. When you've got this all the doom and gloom merchants saying, get ready now, it's the end, it's this, it's that. I certainly think depression would be a valid aspect to add in that answer. Okay, let's go back to our questions. And I'm keeping one eye on the studio clock, although for safety's sake, I'm going to rather place my wristwatch in front of me so that we don't overshoot. Good. Now, we're on to 1.5. Discuss how the advertiser succeeds in juxtaposing good and bad news in paragraph 7. Okay, juxtaposing, and I'm hoping that that word is understood by all your candidates. It should be. It's by no means the first time that this word has appeared in exams. I think it's perfectly fair when you're juxtaposing is a deliberate contrasting of opposing attributes. And in this case, it's good news and bad news. And here, you're not being asked, does the advertiser succeed? Please note. It's already stated in the question that the advertiser has succeeded in the juxtaposition. So let's take a look at paragraph 7. Once again, the candidate's eye view. Media has always reported more bad news than good. If it bleeds, it leads. Okay, rapidly unfolding stories are more bad than good. Progress, meanwhile, is plodding. In a crisis, it plays a crucial role in keeping us informed. My grandmother listens to or watches the news every morning, noon and night, and I have often wondered if her craving for information is the legacy of a war childhood in which one lived with a constant threat of death and disaster. I also think in another life she would have made a fine journalist. Perhaps doom scrolling will be our legacy. I hope not. I hope not. Okay, so talking about the advertiser. Hold on a second. Let me just go back to that question. Discuss how the advertiser succeeds in juxtaposing good and bad news in paragraph 7. Okay. Right. Media always reported more bad news than good. Okay, so we're juxtaposing the good and the bad. Right. Progress, meanwhile, is plodding. Okay, so progress is good. Unfolding stories are generally bad. In a crisis, it plays a crucial role in keeping us informed. So that's good, right? My grandmother listens to or watches the news every morning and night, and I often wondered if her craving for information is the legacy of a war childhood in which one lived with a constant threat of death and disaster. Okay. Perhaps doom scrolling will be our legacy. I hope not. Let's check our memo answer. I'm going to need help with this one. Right, there we go. More bad news is reported by the media than good news. Yes. Bad news unfolds quickly, whereas good news seems slow to make an impact. Yeah, plodding. Yeah, there we are. The saying that if it bleeds, it leads is used to emphasize that bad news in the form of violent actions often make newspaper headlines. Yes, by implication, good news is often not reported. In a crisis, the media play a critical role in keeping the public informed. Okay. Juxtaposition, the good, the bad, the good, the bad. That is a brilliant answer to a very difficult question. This is really a tricky question. I really hope the candidates don't struggle too much with this one. Right. Going back to 1.6. Now, refer to paragraph 8. Explain the writer's purpose in referring to various research findings. Right, let's go to paragraph 8. Why are there research findings included in the paragraph? Okay, Harvard psychologist Steven Pinker argues that a shift in perspective is needed. We try not to overlook astonishing progress that humanity has made in terms of health, wealth, and happiness. Okay, that is definitely a research finding there. The recent Hidden Brain podcast, Beyond Doom Scrolling, on which Pinker appears, is, okay, here's research, is a lesson in finding solace in data. Solace is, of course, comfort. For instance, he cites the statistic that in the last 30 years, there's been a 75% reduction in the proportion of the people in the world who live in extreme poverty. Negative thinking can have its benefits, but Pinker's method is a necessary redressing of the balance. For catastrophists, I think that is neologism. Data can be comforting. Okay, so why have research findings, yes, been included in this paragraph? We've seen the research findings. Let's revisit the question. Explain the writer's purpose in referring to various research findings. In my opinion, the purpose is to show that in general, people are not as badly off as they think. The research findings show that life's a lot better and that the doom and gloom people who say that everything's getting worse are effectively being a little bit hysterical. That would be my answer, or, words to that effect. Let's take a look at our memo answer. And what does it say here? Yeah, the research findings mentioned provide data which prove that positive things do happen. All is not doom and gloom. Progress is made, despite all the negativities. Okay, and there's always why you have research findings. It makes her argument more credible, believable. All right, and always when people quote statistics, research findings, stuff like that, it's in support of an argument, and it is a method of making things believable, credible. And just be very careful about statistics in real life. I've seen some shocking abuse. What do they say? There's lies, damned lies, and statistics. I say enough. Good. Back on with our questions. 1.7, and it's got here, refer to paragraphs 4 and 10. And we are asked to compare the tone of the two paragraphs. Okay, paragraph 4 we've checked already. Okay, our tone here is somewhat wild, imprisoned by reactive primitive brain activity, high-paced, trained by software, etc., etc. So our tone there is somewhat negative, frenetic. I would use the word frenetic, over-energized, right? And let's go to 10. For Julia Bell, being totally present with ourselves with each other is an active form of hope. She proposes that attention in a radical line of defense, writing that attention to the body by extension to the planet allows us to reconnect parts of ourselves that have been outsourced to the screen, I'm going to try it. And if that fails, there are always cat photos. Okay, cat photos. Slightly cynical or sarcastic, I suppose. But this is a lot more positive, calm, relaxed, practical. Okay, let's see what our memo answer is. I'm dying to know. Right. Paragraph 4, the tone is despondent and despairing. Yeah, frenetic. I would have another one we can add there is slightly hysterical. It's very active and oh no, oh good grief, what's going on? Look at this. The speaker feels disconnected and trapped by the extreme emotions of anxiety. Yes, that is definitely true. Paragraph 10, the tone is hopeful. Yeah. Speaker feels that there is hope because hopefulness can be cultivated deliberately and actively. 100%. Spot on. I like it very much. I always wonder sometimes what would happen. Whenever I receive a paper, the first thing I do, long before I look at the memo, I answer the paper myself. And because that gives you much more of an insight into what are the candidates actually seeing. So I don't ever look at the memo until I've gone through the paper and decided for myself all the answers that can be allocated. Okay, so there we've got our response to that one. Then we have here 1.8. Comment critically on the effectiveness of the last sentence. All right, what is our last sentence? It is as follows. And if that fails, there are always cat photos. Why cat photos? Immediately I think that's brilliant because I like cats. I myself have cats that are regularly on my lap and on my shoulder, and I like cuddling them, and the cats are always comforting because they always greet me with a nice big smile and a purr, and they're very soothing and relaxing. So immediately that is going to jump into my mind when I read a sentence such as that one. For other people, I know some of the initial famous YouTube videos were cats falling off TVs. I don't know if it refers to that. But let's take a look at our memo answer. Okay, last sentence can be, okay. Photos of cats may help you to do what Julia Bell advised. Okay, connect. Right, cats are renowned relaxed and detached. Yes. Photos of cats center the focus, distract your attention from the threats and dangers of the world around you. Yes. Writer may imply that people tend to overreact about things. Okay, boy, don't they just? Thus can be distracted easily by something as insignificant as photos of cats. Okay, many other potential answers there, but those are a very good guide to what should be included in an answer. Right, now we go on to, no, we don't go on to yet. We've been talking for quite a long time. We're going to take a quick break. I know that people want to take a drink of water and go to the toilet and stuff like that. So just for a minute, we're going to stop. Take a few breaths of air, drink your water. Here's my water sitting here, ready for me. And then we can carry on within 60 seconds, starting now. I'll see you again shortly. Welcome back. This is the grade 12 paper 1 English home language memo discussion concerning the prep exam paper, which was written on the 28th of September, which just happens to be yesterday as we are seated here today. And this is the second part of the series. We are now going to carry on by looking at the second part of the comprehension. And I think in this section also we're going to include the summary. So bear with me, let's keep going. Here we have the visual text, which interestingly enough is purely visual. There are no words included in this. You see that? It's the flames underneath and the cell phone and the megaphone and the gloomy speech bubble, etc., 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 and the thumbs down sign. Now, let's go look at our questions. Right, questions text B. And 1.9, discuss the significance of the flames in the visual. The significance. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied at the moment. I've been on the go for a little bit too long today. Significance of the flames in the visuals. In the visual, I'm doing it again. There we are. There are the flames. What's the significance? Well, it looks to me almost like the cell phone is dragging us down with it into the flames of hell. Because flames in this context are negative, nasty, painful, something terrible. All right, and it's happening because there's broadcast messages coming out from our cell phones. Okay, so that's what I would say as the significance there. There we are. To discuss the significance of the flames in the visual, let us look at our memo answer. Right, and we've got there, usually associated with destruction, disaster, doom, judgment day, end of the world. Okay, cartoonist who wants to emphasize how communication technology is quick to convey rumors or news of doom and gloom. And this, incidentally, if I can give you a quick example of the negative context of flames, as we're speaking right now in the Northern Cape, many fires, runaway fires are blazing. And as I was driving here towards the studio this morning, they actually put out a request if anybody wants to help with this, go with packaged food, bottled water, etc., to go help the firefighters. And definitely in that context, the doom and gloom aspect of fire, yep, we've got it around us right now. Okay, back we go. Comment on how the visual in the cartoon impacts the reader. Right? We've already done that quite thoroughly. The warning about don't being dragged down into hell with the news blasting out of your cell phone. That would be my answer. Let's take a look at the memo. Right. may make the reader feel frightened and upset. Cell phone screen clearly conveys that something awful has happened. Okay, emoticon of the face with a downturned mouth. Yeah, there we are. Concern. Thumb pointing downwards. You know, that was the symbol used in the arena when the gladiator had fallen and he was now at the mercy of his conqueror. And then he could appeal for mercy to Caesar, or the head of the arena at the time. And if it was thumbs up, he lived. And if the crowd went thumbs down, he died. And so the thumbs down image remains to this day one of the most negative ever. Right. Right. News of destruction, damage, and disaster is conveyed loudly and clearly by the megaphone. Well, it's actually a visual metaphor, that because the cell phone is being compared to a megaphone in that it's broadcasting nasty stuff. Right, back to our final question in the comprehension. And we've got here question texts A and B. Now this is a comparative question. Always the comprehension test will end with a comparative question of 4 marks. And what is asked? To what extent, now please note the careful wording. It's to what extent, by how much. Does text B support paragraph 1 of text A? Motivate your response. Now, it's not text B being compared to text A, it's text B being compared to paragraph 1 only of text A. Right? Now we've just looked at text B, so let's go all the way back up and we'll look at paragraph 1 of text A again. Right, there we are. And it says, this year I have learned the secret of time travel. It goes like this. I open my eyes first thing, reach for my phone, checking the news and social for latest apocalyptic updates. Words and images flash by in seconds, screaming, breaking news, infection, outbreak, death, death toll. I scroll, refresh, reload, close, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yes. And then I emerge blinking from the darkened cell of the internet, and it is 1700, and I'm thinking, where on earth did this day go? Twitter is a cosmic string, and I've been pulled along with it until beyond the windows the light fades into night. Okay, I would say to a great extent the visual is in agreement with what is being shown here, in that it's a terrible thing that is happening to us to do this whole doom scrolling thing, and it's leading us to pain and suffering and anxiety, etc., etc. So we'll go back to our question. To what extent does text B support paragraph 1 of text A? And there we are. I have already motivated to a certain extent. Let's take a look at our memo answer. And it's here. Okay, fire in the cartoon, symbolic of catastrophe, cell phone screen, thumbs down the message. Okay, we've been through all that. Text A, news and social media phone for latest apocalyptic updates. Writer uses capital letters to emphasize that the words and images scream catastrophe and disaster. Now, there was one point that I wanted to check here. Sorry, bear with me. Just going back to 1.9, it says here, look at the cartoon in isolation. The message may be that cell phones or social media are dangerous, and this perspective will have an influence on the answers to 1.10 and 1.11. So only when you're looking at the cartoon, you only look at the cartoon. You don't bother to look at text A at that stage. All right, let's see if there is another one that I had drawn to my attention. Sorry, please bear with me. Is it this one here? There was one other comment I received in this regard. Here we are. Looking at question 1.11, an ideal answer, sorry, let me go up to this answer. Ideal answer must refer to both paragraph 1 and text A and text B and come to a conclusion, right, concerning the extent to which text B supports paragraph 1 of text A. So it's got to have both reference to both texts, and there has to be a logical conclusion drawn about the extent of the support. Okay. There, we have finished that. For the sake of time, we're not going to take a break. We're going to go straight on to the summary, because I'm very well aware of the limits in time. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Now, your text C, your summary. Let's look first at the instructions. This is something that the kids normally don't do, is looking at the instructions. I know that. Right, and it says here, text C discusses the option of working abroad with a remote visa. Read the passage and summarize the benefits of a remote visa. Okay, this is an amazingly practical summary. It's got clearly defined benefits. It's not as esoteric as most of the home language summaries that I've seen. Let's take a look. We'll read through it quickly. Okay, standard instructions, fluent paragraph, summary and fluent paragraph. Summary not including, should include 7 points, not more than 90 words. Okay, no title required. Indicate word count. The word count is, of course, for the candidates. It's not for the marker. It stops them overshooting the word limit. Okay, and let's take a look at this. Remote visa is a type of immigration permit that allows foreign nationals to move to and live in a country while they are employed and earn an income from a source outside of that country. Okay, this is like a permanent residence permit for Lesotho, which I have seriously considered, by the way, as a place to retire when I'm doing work of my own. I can go and live in Lesotho while I am, in fact, employed in South Africa. Quite easy to do because it's very close to the Free State, and you can cross the border every day without a problem. Or you used to. I don't know what it's like now with this whole COVID dilemma. I think there must be some sort of border control. I just don't know what it is. Okay. Anyway, back to the story. We are looking for benefits of a remote visa. Right. Individuals of any age can embark on a journey across borders, and remote work ensures continued employment, a solid source of income, and none of the uncertainty that expats often face in a foreign job market. Well, there's already a whole plethora of advantages to a remote visa. Okay, continued employment, solid income, no uncertainty. Basically, you could keep your stable job in South Africa and guaranteed salary while working and indulging in the luxuries of a completely different continent. Okay, so that's another advantage. Okay. Remote work benefits not only employees and businesses, but economies at large. Right, benefits to employees, businesses, and economies. Okay, as a South African expat abroad, you will benefit both the South African and your host country's economy. Okay, so it's benefit to two economies, as well as its housing market and tourist sector, while not putting a strain on local. Okay, so no strain on local employment opportunities. Meanwhile, you could be spending your free time hiking up volcanoes in Costa Rica, or skiing in the Pyrenees, sipping margaritas in Mexico, or experiencing an authentic Oktoberfest in Germany. I don't know who the author is, but please note that he starts first with two adventure activities, And then slips. The last two items in the list here are alcoholic. It's margaritas. And the Oktoberfest is, of course, where they celebrate by drinking a lot of beer. All right, all advantages. Thanks to internet, work and travel now often go hand in hand. All right, that's an advantage. But that's not directly referring to the visa, the remote visa. Okay, no, that's not an advantage to the what do they call it, remote visa, yeah. Okay, a diversity of landscapes is beginning to be explored. That's an advantage. From the tropical idyls of the Caribbean and jungles of South America to the stunning beaches of an Iberian Peninsula and futuristic cityscapes in the United Arab Emirates. Now, here, the advantage, a diversity of landscapes is beginning to be explored, is the actual advantage. All the rest are just examples of the idyllic landscapes or diversity of landscapes. Okay, as a matter of fact, many South African remote workers who aren't necessarily keen on permanent immigration are jumping at the chance of temporary stays in new and exciting locales on a remote visa. Okay, another advantage, quick temporary stay somewhere. And the possibilities are endless. If Cape Town's Atlantic waters are too cold, perhaps a tropical paradise in the Caribbean is more to your bag. Okay, we've already looked at that. In Joburg City's life just does not cut it. You might be in awe of Prague's eclectic nightlife. Okay, so basically that's saying you can change your environment with a remote visa. Right, there we have the text. Let's briefly look at our memo answers. This is pretty straightforward, by the way. I'm going to shoot through the summary. Right, there's your quotations. Allows a foreign national to move and live in a country where they are employed and while they are employed and earn income from a source outside of that country. Okay, all of this, of course, enabled, well, not all of it, but 99% of it is enabled by the internet and the fact that we can just pick up a computer and communicate from here to there without any problems. And when I say pick up a computer, I'm including these cell phones. I mean, with a cell phone, you can basically run a business from anywhere on the planet, no matter what it is or where you're doing it. Right. Individuals of any age can embark on a journey across borders. Okay. Remote work ensures continued employment, source of income. Right. Fine. Working and indulging in the luxuries of a completely different continent. Yes, we looked at that. Benefits not only the employees and the businesses, but economies at large. Yes, we looked at that while not putting a strain on local employment opportunities. Yes. Work and travel often now go hand in hand. Yes. Matter of fact, South African remote workers who are not necessarily keen on permanent immigration are jumping at the chance of new and remote. Yes, and the possibilities are endless. Okay, this memo speaks for itself. We'll take a brief look at there's a paragraph form example. Ooh, naughty, naughty. It's over 90 words. Okay, now let's just look at the slight changes that we've had to the marking guidelines. No, these are the same as always. All right, here it's talking about quotations. Remember that if you have lifting directly from the text, even if it's not the correct answer, it is still a quote. So you can, in fact, get your 7 quotations where only one is correct. But that doesn't mean that there's only one quote. It means there are 7 quotes. Right? So in that particular instance, you would only award, you wouldn't award any language mark, but you would award a mark for the correct point. Okay, I don't think we have to dwell on this any longer. Right? If there are any questions, well, I can't really anticipate questions. This is pretty straightforward. Oh, please make sure that it doesn't exceed 90 marks, 90 words. Sorry. I do note on my moderation, in my moderation on occasions, that word counts have not been done. Please do the word counts. It really does matter. It has an influence on the final results. And it's very unfair to the people who stay within the word counts if other people break the word count and get away with it. So please watch for that. And we're going to take a break. All right? 3 more sections to go, but we'll stop for now, and then I think we'll finish the rest of the stuff, which is fairly quick in my opinion, and we'll finish that in one long swoop towards the end of our time. So let's have our water, go to the toilet if necessary. Please, back within 1 minute. See you shortly. Welcome back. Glad you're joining us again. Let's carry on here. Now we're on to the language in context section. In other words, it's advertising and it's a cartoon or comic strip, in this case a comic strip. And of course, then finally, it's the language section, the editing and grammar, as I always call it. Let's take a look first at this advert. And we have what looks like a Heinz tomato ketchup bottle, which has been assembled out of slices of real tomatoes. And yes, that is, to my mind, an excellent advert. Then we have the questions that go with it, and our statement at the bottom. No one grows ketchup like Heinz. Aha! Let's look at our questions. 3.1, discuss the implication of the tomato slices in the visual. The implication is, of course, that it's made out of nothing except real tomatoes. Where only tomato slices have been used. Okay, the label is there, but the label's just on the outside, and apparently it was on the tomato slices before they were assembled. So it's pure tomatoes only that go into Heinz ketchup. Let's take a quick look at the memo answer. Lovely advert this, by the way. They are stacked in the shape of a ketchup bottle. Implication, real tomatoes. Okay. And we go back to the next question. Comment critically on the effectiveness of the catch line. Now, it's brilliant. It doesn't say nobody makes better ketchup. It says no one grows ketchup. Just by the way, if you want the English translation, ketchup is a tomato or a fruit-based sauce, which is a fruit-based sauce, but normally it's made from tomatoes. Remember, tomatoes are in fact a fruit, not a vegetable. And well, there we are. But here you've got no one grows ketchup. The stress on the word grows. So definitely that is very effective, because again, it's showing it's pure. We're not just slopping together stuff and making it into a sauce. We are growing tomatoes and producing a masterpiece, etc., etc. Let's take a look at our memo advert. Okay, no one, okay, emphasizes the quality of the product. Good, I missed out on that one. Grows. This is the word that really appeals to me. Effectively links catch line and the image. Yes. Word emphasizes the organic nature of the product. Yes, product is manufactured of real tomatoes, not artificially flavored. All of that is correct. Okay, and of course it's an American product. Right, back to questions. The second, this is a brilliant advert. The second is even brillianter. Neologism, breaking rules, by the way. Even more brilliant. Just take a look at that. That really looks like little critters, inchworms or something, making their way to the tomato sauce bottle. Isn't it? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's got a sort of nasty look about it that I like. Okay, and says, when fries can't resist the attraction, just for the record, fries are the American version of chips, what we call chips. And if you go across to the UK, these are chips, and what we also call chips, mazimba, there they call those crisps. Lots of terminology that you have to know depending on which country you're in. Okay, so we've got that. Let's take a look at our questions here. It's given for you the text in larger print. And it says, how does the visual in the advertisement convey the message of the advertisement? Okay, can't resist the attraction. Okay, the chips are trying to get to the tomato sauce. They want it on them so much. Pure pleasure that everybody wants it. Okay, memo answer. The ketchup is irresistible. Okay, the fries being compared to ants. I call them being compared to worms, but it's a very accurate one, that as well. Okay, because in the same way that ants do, they're making their way up in single file. Okay, fries cannot go without the ketchup. Okay. Then, in your opinion, which advertisement would have a greater impact on the reader? Right? Justify your choice by referring to both advertisements. Right? So, in order to answer that, you'd have to compare the one advertisement with the other. Which do you think is better, is what they're asking, and why. Right? So, you'd have to comment, you'd have to describe briefly the first advert, describe briefly the second advert. Why is this advert then better than the other one? Let's take a look at our, right. Text B, the word grows is unusual, speak to health conscious. Okay, text E, humorous, etc. And which one of the two is better? It's entirely subjective. I really enjoy the first one, but I think the second one is even better. It's got something in it that's just slightly more lively. That's the only comment I can make on that one. Let's move on. So that we don't lose time, let's go to our cartoon comic strip. Okay, there we are, understanding other aspects of the media. I'm going to reduce this slightly so that we can see everything in it without moving the screen around. There we are, we've got the whole thing, and it's still, I think it's still clearly visible to everybody. And of course there you have Hagar and Helgar. Let me just see if there's any notes down below. Notes as is. Right. Okay. Helga. I've been ironing clothes, washing windows, scrubbing floors, and you just sit there waiting for me to bring you a snack. What does that say about you? I'm patient. Short, sweet, to the point, brilliantly witty, and I absolutely love it. I have certain favorite cartoons. Hagar the Horrible is one of them. Calvin and Hobbes is brilliant. The original Dennis the Menace is excellent. Zitz is another very good one. But this is in among the top ones. Madam and Eve, usually very good. Okay, let's take a look at our questions. This time I'm going to bring it back up again so we've got a decent font size. Right, the first one says, provide a possible reason for Hagar's silence in frames 1 to 5. He's just sitting quietly. Okay, what's the reason? He's waiting for Helga to stop her ranting at him so that he can reply. And you must understand that Hagar is a Viking male. It is, as far as he's concerned, it's his wife's duty to do all those things while he goes out, attacking and stealing, and raping and pillaging and doing all the normal things that Vikings are supposed to do. And that's his job. All right? So He's just waiting to get a word in edgeways, in my opinion. Let's take a look at what the memo answer is there then. Okay, similar. Helga doesn't give him a chance to speak. He's bored. He's relaxed. But simply, he's waiting to get a word in edgeways, in my opinion. I would certainly credit any answer such as that one. Why is it slightly out of center? There we go. That's fine. Discuss how Helga's body language and facial expressions support her words in frame 4. Okay, so let's go to frame 4. There it is. And you just sit there waiting for me to bring you a snack. Okay. She's angry. You can see the centered eyebrow coming down like that, mouth wide open, shouting. And she's pointing at Hagar accusingly. Right. What else? She's standing up straight. There we are. She's got her back nice and straight. She's saying, look at me. I'm good. You're bad. All right, so let's look at our question again. Discuss how Helga's body language and facial expression support her words in frame 4. And her words are saying, you're just sitting there. Okay, so she's obviously angry, frustrated, annoyed, and the facial expression supports what she is saying. The words in frame 4 are also angry. Memo answer. We are upright, open, right, loudly, angrily, points a finger, and he's just been sitting, okay, and expecting words and body language show that she's angrily accusing Hagar of being inconsiderate, selfish, and lazy. Yes. All right. And there's your caveat. Basically, if the candidate wants 3 marks, he's got to earn it. Okay. Then, comment on Helga's tone in frame 5. That's when she blows completely. Please note, that is a rhetorical question to my mind. But also you've got this thing here, what's it called? An exclamabang or something like that. Or, it's the combination of the exclamation mark and the question mark for added emphasis. Okay, and what is her tone? Definitely angry, furious, annoyed, but I'd say angry at the very least. Because she's very frustrated with Hagar. All right, and what does it say? Comment on the tone. All right, angry, etc. Memo answer says rhetorical question, very sarcastic, accusatory. Yes, wants him to admit it. Dark font. She's angry. She's shouting. Facial expression and body language reinforced her angry tone. Yes. And then, evaluate the cartoonist's success in creating humor in the comic strip. Boy, I'd evaluate it at 100%. It's great. And it's also deeply insightful of, shall we say, the insensitivity of males. Now, I'm not being sexist. I'm not being offensive. I'm not trying to stereotype. I am myself a male, and some of my best friends are males. Can you believe that? So if I'm saying negative things about males, I believe I'm fully qualified. We males do not have the powers of observation that females have. We males are insensitive. Females are romantic, and they do things like notice little hints and suggestions and stuff. We males fail to pick them up. It's a rare skill to find in a male. And this is why this is so funny to me, because Hagar is sitting there waiting for Helga to get finished with her ranting and raving, which he regards as absolutely pointless. It's got nothing to do with him. And then I don't think, if the cartoonist's techniques have been correctly used, I don't think that he even realizes what on earth she's going on about. It's got nothing to do with him. He's just sitting there, utterly unconcerned. And when it all finishes, well, you know, where's my snack now? I love it. Let's take a look at the memo. And it says, successfully uses anticlimax, okay, to create humor, right? Expectation of conflict, right? Climax of outburst. Opportunity for Hager to silence her. Okay. I don't think he's playing the victim. I don't think he's being a victim at all. He's just waiting for her to stop shouting at him and so that he can get his snack. He wants his snack. The rest is no relevance to him. But anyway, implicitly accusing her of trying behavior, okay. Not in my opinion, but I must admit that is a valid answer. Together, unperturbed, I love that. Just uncaring. Body language, okay, surprising, humorous, and all the rest. And there we are. That is then the advert and the cartoon. And our final section to come now is going to be the editing and grammar. Right, we have text G, okay, the octopus teacher. And this, just by the way, the editing was difficult. It's really brilliantly set. It's difficult, but not impossible. I mean, it's not some obscure thing. And I'm pleased to notice also that the examiner shares my opinion of the split infinitive. It is an abomination and should be stamped out. Peacefully, of course, but very violently. Okay. And are we going to read the text? No, we're not yet. We're only going to refer to the text when we need to do so. Okay. Then rewrite, okay, 5.1, rewrite the first sentence, removing the redundancy. And redundancy, tautology, okay, in other words, the use of unnecessary words. So let us go to the first sentence and look for redundant words. And it says, Craig Foster, suffering from a loss of purpose, begins a daily diving regimen every day in the freezing kelp forests at the tip of Africa in order to gradually re-energize himself. Okay, and we are looking for redundancy. Now look here, you've got the word daily written over here, and you've got the word every day written over here. They have the same meaning. Therefore, one of them has to go. I would remove the two words every day because that's the longest of the removals that can be done, and always take away the longest one, usually. So I would leave the word daily and remove the words every day. Okay, in order to treat that redundancy. Then let's take a look at our lines 2 to 3. In order to gradually re-energize himself. And it says, explain why the word order in this sentence fragment is incorrect. And the answer, as you doubtless know, and as the learners will probably not know, is that you have a split infinitive. Okay, when you are saying something like to re-energize himself, that is an infinitive form. And you're not supposed to insert words between the to and the verb. So in this case, you'll have to say something like, in order to re-energize himself gradually. I would take the gradually and simply place it on the end of the sentence. All right? And there it says, first you have to explain why the word order is incorrect. Sorry, I'm not reading my sentence, my instructions clearly. It's because it involves a split infinitive. Write the words in the correct order. Okay, I would simply take the gradually and put it on the end. Whoops, let me not play around too much now. Then it says, account for the use of the hyphen in re-energize. Okay, why is the hyphen used? Well, you're fitting a prefix, but you have to do this because otherwise you're going to create a new word. It would, if you didn't have that hyphen there, it would come out as re-energize instead of re-energize. It's the same between a remark and to remark an incorrect question. If that hyphen goes missing, it changes meaning completely. Right? Let's take a look at our memo answers quickly, just to make sure that everything is fully understood. Okay, there we are there. There we are, split infinitive, re-energize gradually, prefix to verb, but I would also say that it has to, it's there to prevent a new word being created. Okay. Give the noun form 5.3. Give the noun form of entire. This is high-tech grammar. I know what the noun form is, but it is very likely that about 50% of the candidates won't know this. The number could be higher. But we're dealing with home language English here. So, of course, the noun form is in its entirety. We'll look at the spelling of that in a second. But before we do that, let's go on to this 5.4, where it says, refer to lines 10 to 12. Well, it's written out for us here, so we're going to simply use this. The underwater encounters are literally breathtaking as Foster holds his breath while interacting with the octopus. What have we got here? Is it a compound sentence which has two or more main clauses? Is it a complex sentence which has at least one main clause, has a main clause and at least one subordinate clause? Is it a simple sentence which has only a single subject predicate? Or is it incomplete? Okay, definitely not that and not that. So C and D are out. So we have to choose between the compound and the complex. So we'll do a test. The underwater encounters are literally breathtaking. You can have that as a sentence by itself. So that's obviously a main clause. Foster holds his breath while interacting with the octopus. You can have that as a sentence by itself. So both of those are main clauses, and the answer is a compound sentence. Okay. Some people have argued with me today, by the way, that as Foster holds his breath while interacting with the octopus is a clause, a subordinate clause. Is it? I'm not sure, because we have a conjunction joining together two main clauses. So no. I think rather we're just going to go for a compound sentence, and because it's two main clauses with a conjunction to act as the glue. Okay. What else do we have here? Do we go? Yes, let's just go to our memo answers just to keep everybody on their toes. There's the word entirety, and here it says a compound sentence. Right. Back again. Now we'll go up to, oh, sorry. Right, refer to line 17. No, I'm on the wrong place, sorry. I'm supposed to be on the question paper. Refer to line 17. She taught me to feel part of the place. Okay, so we've got now reported speech or indirect speech, whichever you prefer. So we have Craig Foster said that she, now that's taught is in the past tense, so we have to take it back to past perfect. right? And the pronoun me would become him. Right. Craig Foster said that she had taught him to feel part of the place. Okay, let's check memo answer. Right, Craig Foster says that said that she had taught him to feel part of the place. Yes, no problem there. And we'll actually go up to where it says here, what she taught me is to feel that you are part of this place, not a visitor. And that's the huge difference, says Craig Foster. Okay, now we have it in context. Not a visitor. Rewrites the above as a complete sentence, and I would say you are not a visitor if it's complete and in that particular context there. And then 5.5, we have an error of tense in paragraph 4. Let us go to paragraph 4. There it is. An immersive portrait of human-animal understanding, brimming with danger, drama, and devastating emotion. My octopus teacher grabs you with all 8 arms and changes its camouflage, showing you colors and textures you never saw before. Okay, so we are looking at, I'm just going back to the question, change the error of tense in paragraph 4. Okay, you never saw before. Showing you colors and textures you have never seen before. I would say have never seen before. Yeah. You never saw before. You have never seen before. Let's check memo answer. Yes. Showing you colors and textures you have never seen before. Okay, and there we have it. Now, we're about to finish. I'm going to check my notes to see that I've covered everything. You must forgive me, this was more or less an impromptu session. A lot of the planning took place while I was eating a hasty snack before coming back into the studio. So, right, we've covered that, we've covered that, we've covered that. Right, it looks as if everything has been tackled. And I am happy. Let me just check, no more input. No, that's great. Thank you to all of you who have borne with us. I hope that really, I sincerely hope that this has been productive in your minds as well as in mine. Just a reminder, this was the memo discussion for the English Home Language Paper 1 that was written on the 28th of September 2001. Now, enjoy your marking. Goodbye.